So I came across a news article last night of the Florida State Legislature wanting to pass a bill that punishes anybody who makes fun of the way they dress for religious purposes, whether it be Islam with their garb or Judaism with their yarmulke, for example, that punishes what they're wearing if somebody makes fun of what they're wearing as a third degree, like hate crime felony, which means that you would do prison time if you make fun of somebody based on how they dress for religious purposes. The person proposing this bill happens to be my state congressman. So there is a lot of things to be said about this, but there's a few things that I've read that stuck out to me. It's Florida House Bill 269, and it is, and it reads, a person who willfully follows, harasses, or interferes with another person's quiet enjoyment based on the person's wearing a religious-based garment or garment commonly associated with a particular religious or ethnic group or any other indica of a religious or ethnic heritage commits the offense of an aggravated stalking, a felony of the third degree, punishable as provided in section 775.082, section 775.083, or section 77.084. A violation of this subsection shall be considered a hate crime for purposes of the reporting requirements of section 877.19. So in other words, there's already hate crimes that are on the books in the state of Florida. Really, the hate crime concept needs to go away. That is a violation of the equal protections under the law. If you beat up somebody because of their skin color, it's battery and assault regardless of who you do it to. When you start to specify certain groups, you lose the equal protection under the law. And certainly this bill is not in the spirit of the founding of our country. This is a violation of the First Amendment. The First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, and then furthermore, it protects basically freedom of speech. Of course, there are legal limitations to that. You can't, for example, you can't counsel somebody on how to commit a crime, for example. So there are limitations to it. Mike Caruso, he says that the bill makes anti-Semitism a hate crime. And then it's quoted, and this is by the Epoch Times, if we do nothing, we are going to have 1933 Nazi Germany all over again. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Our culture is nothing like that at all. The problem we have in this country is political correctness. And we also have a overpowering government. It's been there, ever since the days of World War I, Woodrow Wilson, and the Federal Reserve. But then it got even worse when Franklin Roosevelt declared that we were in perpetual emergency and that the executive can basically legislate. All the other government garbage like Social Security, for example, that came out of that era. Lyndon Baines Johnson that expanded all of that and caused a welfare state. This has just been getting worse and worse. And then finally, with administrations we've had post 2000, where we had Bush, when we had the national security state that has turned on Americans. So, I mean, back then they were accusing people of being terrorists for using the First Amendment rights. And then under Barack Obama, from 2012 onward, we have this corporate fascistic political correctness that's been happening that we've had ever since. So, I mean, Florida, supposedly we're this, freer state in the country, and they pull this stuff. So I'm going to be writing my congressman. It's very important for people to pay attention to what's going on in their states, because a lot of the power, a lot of things that affect your daily lives happen on the local and state levels. So anyway, I wanted to give a word out to that and a warning. Just because you think your so-called leadership is better than the state next to you, that doesn't mean that they're exactly in the spirit of the founding of this country.